Tell them who you are, girl.
Hey, I'm Tereza from Danza Productions, and you are watching Manny TV.
That was just very lovely. Subscribe and like the channel. She said it, not me. That's right.
Keeping it a lovely 1000 right here. We got this individual lady who actually is the owner of a specific bachata and salsa group here, and does it very correctly. Since the reggaeton music has been coming up at the same similar wavelength as how salsa was back in the 60s and the 70s. It's like history repeating itself. It is the new pop. And since we have the bachata sounds and the salsa sounds dominating the district, almost pretty much is, and this new kid in the corner reggaeton was once upon a time illegal to even play in certain places, has now become top of the food chain. The pro-official perspective of this lovely lady basically needs to be heard here. She has been holding it down for the community and for the music itself with this fabulous group and production. So let's see what she got to say right here.
1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Keep it small. Kaka. Kaka. Listen. Go to left.
So is there a correlation between that specific sound of music, reggaeton, and salsa? History repeating itself? They're lovely there.
Lovely 1000 the game, girl. So now that you're an instructor right here and also owner here at this fabulous production dance center here, how do you see the correlation or the difference between how reggaeton is now compared to how it was in the hits, compared to how salsa was in the 60s and the 70s and bachata? Because now reggaeton has become worldwide and even in the same wavelength as how salsa was in the 80s. It's like history repeating itself. How do you see that coming up in the next coming up years? Because we have Latinos now coming up everywhere, to the United States, to even in Europe, and even in Canada.
Yeah.
Lovely 1000. What do you see?
All right, well, I think that there's definitely an authenticity that we're trying to express now, and I think the authenticity is starting to really speak volumes. So before, people were kind of just appropriating a lot of the dance styles, and now I think there's a better respect for it, and there's a better knowledge of where it comes from. And although reggaeton has become very mainstream, salsa has become a bit more mainstream, people are wanting to go back to the roots, really to understand why it is the way it is, what the culture behind it is. And it's the same thing for dancehall and reggae, right? Like, it's the same exact phenomenon happening. Before, I thought there was not so much respect for where it comes from, but now people are starting to really realize, hey, you know, these dance styles have a background, they have roots, they have a culture that we need to understand before we're even able to express it to the world and to learn it and to teach it, right? So I think that there's a lot of that happening now. There's a bit of a consciousness that is starting to happen.
Yeah.
And I really think it's beautiful, right? For people like ourselves who are guests to the culture, I consider myself a guest to the Latin culture and the Caribbean culture. And so in order for that to happen, we need to have a collective consciousness of why it is done the way that it is, and where the culture comes from, and how we can understand that before we even express it and emulate it to the world. So in short, that's my answer.
So what about those cultivators out there? Is there any specific one we should be worrying about? What's up?
Do you see any cultivators coming up on that in the near future or so? Or no?
Culture vultures?
Correct.
Culture vultures. I mean, definitely there's always that to be aware of and to be wary of. I do find that there's a lot of people out there that take advantage and that do profit from these things. What we're trying to do here, especially as guests of the culture, is really give the agency back to the people that have created it, and then give them that respect and have a dialogue with them so that we can actually all advance collectively. Because I don't believe that dance or art belongs to anyone in particular. I think that it belongs to humanity as a collective, but we really need to make sure that we respect where it comes from, each culture, who created what, who needs to be called out and who needs to be given a shout out and who needs to be respected, right? But I think we can do this as a collective, not just nation, not just but humanity in general. We should all come together and respect each other's cultures, learn from each other, and then really just enjoy the product of it, which is the richness of it.
Mad Lady. So this music brings a lot of people and cultures all together all at once. Yep.
So it brings cultures and other peoples together with one soundtrack.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. If it's done right, and if I think the respect goes both ways, right? It's a two-way street. So I think we should never really fall into cultural appropriation, but we should fall into cultural appreciation. And there's a difference between the two, and this is, I think, what we need to work towards.
Cool. Keeping it lovely. That was a lovely answer. You keep it lovely 1000. Thanks.
Thank you.
Damn right. It's a rich culture with good music and good food and beautiful people who love it and enjoy it. Whether you're a fan of it or not, it is here. And whether you like the community or not, you gotta simply enjoy the good flavor and the music that comes with it. And this is what the lovely lady just sang it. And a good shout out to the lovely lady there, Tereza for Danza Productions, for keeping it 1000 and lovely with this. Manny TV is still going on to the break of dawn. 2020 is here, and more of these Mad Lady wavy videos are coming up. You get notified by hitting the bell button. Also get to put a comment on it, subscribe and like the channel, and more of these wavy videos and lady videos are coming up right now. Manny TV is here for you, streaming worldwide in your area. See you all later.